Come and listen to this tale about a dude named Ted, standing there just looking at the tools in his shed. And then he got to thinking, just looking ain't no fun. Let's pick one up and plug it in and see if it'll run. It did. Pretty good, too. Now old Ted's a happy guy 'cause he's got a pretty wife. Figures if he plays it right, he'll keep that gal for life. That gal, her name is Beverly, and he's her hillbilly. He's sweet on her, she's sweet on him, they're happy as could be. She's Beverly, he's Hillbilly, he's Beverly's hillbilly.
So I've had a day or two to think about this, and when this, which I've been turning on a grinder and with a file, turned out to be too short, I got looking around again, and lo and behold, I found a rusty old piece of 3/4 inch rolled stock. That's got a hole in it there, but it's just something somebody's drilled in it. It's actually solid steel. It's not very straight, so I just can't use it, but I can cut off short little pieces, and when I clean it up, it fits quite nicely into those bearings. Isn't that nice? And this piece of galvanized pipe wasn't very straight. So what I did, I took a piece, I cut it just a little bit longer than I actually need it, and I squared up the end, and I'm going to show you how I squared up the end. I'm just going to take a piece of basically anything, I guess. I could take this, and we're going over here. This is my answer to a disc sander. It's a piece of well, it was a 12-inch disc, and I cut it down so that it would fit on my bowl turning plate, and that's fastened there. And I made this device here, which fastens onto the rails of my lathe, and I got this table sitting level with this, and then I cut this so that it's perfectly square, and I have that clamped so that this is perfectly square with that. And then I stirred up the thing and I set this in there. It can't be anything but square both ways, and when I stirred it up and just gently turn that, it squares up the end, makes it nice and good for doing what I'm doing over here. What I'm doing over here, I do happen to have a 3/4 inch drill bit, which I am using to bore out the center of this to accept a short piece of that steel, which I will tack weld in on both ends, and I'll have a roller that runs true, relatively speaking, and well, hopefully it works. Well, I'm down in there about 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to, I think I can get that out of there. I'm going to see. Well, I can't get that out of there. Right. Unlock this. Spin this a little bit. Ow! That's fairly heavy. Doesn't take any time at all to look at it. So I don't know if can you see in there. It's about 3/8 of an inch deep. I'm hoping, it looks like it's almost perfectly centered too, which it should be, because that's one of the reasons that I made it perfectly square, but, so that when this hits it, it doesn't hit a high side and put it off center. So that looks to me like it's centered up pretty good. Let's just go over. And see that fits in there. Now if this was squared up, then I could put a little bit of weld on there and hopefully, okay, we're going to cut this off about there somewhere, and we're going to try to true it up. Okay, so I found it. I got it in a pair of ice grips. You'll never guess where the thing was. Bounced off that nice rubber floor I got, so my feet don't die, inside that box that's underneath the cabinet there. Anyway, such is life. So what I'm going to do first, rather than chew up my my sanding disc over on the lathe, I'm going to try to true it up a little bit first on a grinder, because it's quite clearly high on one side, and I think I'm just going to use my big old granddaddy grinder over there. Alright, so we're going to try is the operative word, to get a couple of little packs of oil on there. Now, you'll notice that is a galvanized pipe, but I cleaned all the galvanizing off of it, which makes it even lighter, which is why I wanted it at a lower amperage, so I don't just burn it up. Anyway, we'll try again. Let's see if I can put a spot on the other side. Indeed I did. That'll take a while to look at yet. Let that cool down a little bit, and then we'll clean up the weld and see how we did. I'm going to shut you off for now. Alright, just going to use the wire wheel to clean it up a bit, and I don't think it's very straight, but I might be able to knock it into straight. Since this will be down against another roller, you can't have any of those welding lumps out there because, well, it needs to be flush, right? Anyway, let's find a flat piece of table or something that I can find out just how far that thing pulled when I welded it, in spite of my best efforts to make it lay flat. Alright, so as they say, the proof is in the pudding. I don't know, you can probably see, look at the light coming through there and then not. So that tells me that I'm going to have to try to beat this side up. So I'm going to go get something to mark the high side. Not that it takes a lot of seeing, but we're going to try to straighten it. Okay, so this is what passes for an anvil in my shop. It's an old piece of railroad rail, and I'm hopeful, where's my big hammer, that I can encourage that just a little bit straighter without destroying it. I've got a high spot on my weld still, right there. I got to clean off. And I should have a file out here somewhere still. Don't suppose that I did the right thing and actually put it away last time I used it, because I can guarantee you that if I did, it would be a first. You know what they say, there's a first time for everything. Maybe I did. Well, if I didn't, there's another one. Anyway. It's dusty. I haven't used it for a long time. That's not bad. I think it might have worked. It's still hot, but might need to be cleaned up just a little bit to get it to go in there, because it did go in there, probably from me putting it in vices and such. Anyway, we'll let's take our file and just kiss it a little bit. I like it. make the other one, the next one, just a little bit longer, and it'll be for the drive end, but that's going to be okay. Look at that, eh? I am so impressed with myself. Alright, we got to figure out the length, cut this off, get it squared up, get a hole drilled in it, make a piece for it. And it's a repeat of this. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.
So now I guess this episode is all done and said. I would like to thank you all for visiting with Ted. If you'd like to see what's next, why not subscribe and see? It's not that hard, just click on it. It's easy as could be. Comment too. I'd like that.